Good morning, spiritual companions. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, continuing the introduction on page 55. Company of Holy Men and Devotees. From now on, Sri Ramakrishna began to seek the company of devotees and holy men. He had gone through the storm and stress of spiritual disciplines and visions. Now he realized an inner calmness and appeared to others as a normal person. But he could not bear the company of worldly people or listen to their talk. Fortunately, the holy atmosphere of Dakshineswar and the liberality of Mathur attracted monks and holy men from all parts of the country. Sadhus of all denominations, monists and dualists, Vaishnavas and Vedantists, Saktas and worshippers of Rama flocked there in ever-increasing numbers. Ascetics and visionaries came to seek Sri Ramakrishna's advice. Vaishnavas had come during the period of his Vaishnava sadhana, and Tantrics when he had practiced the disciplines of Tantra. Vedantists began to arrive after Totapuri's departure. In the room of Sri Ramakrishna, who was then in bed with dysentery, the Vedantist engaged in spiritual discussions and, forgetting his own physical suffering, he solved their doubts by referring directly to his own experiences. Many of the visitors were genuine spiritual souls, the unseen pillars of Hinduism, and their spiritual lives were quickened in no small measure by the sage of Dakshineswar. Sri Ramakrishna, in turn, learnt from them anecdotes concerning the ways and the conduct of holy men, which he subsequently narrated to his devotees and disciples. At his request, Mathur provided him with large stores of foodstuffs, clothes, and so forth, for distribution among the wandering monks. Sri Ramakrishna had not read books, yet he possessed an encyclopedic knowledge of religions and religious philosophies. This he acquired from his contacts with innumerable holy men and scholars. He had a unique power of assimilation. Through meditation, he made this knowledge a part of his being. Once, when he was asked by a disciple about the source of his seemingly inexhaustible knowledge, he replied, "I did not read books, but I heard the learned. I made a garland of their knowledge, wearing it round my neck. I gave it as an offering at the feet of the mother." Sri Ramakrishna used to say that when the flowers bloom, the bees come to them for honey of their own accord. Now, many souls were visiting Dakshineswar to satisfy their spiritual hunger. He, the devotee and aspirant, became the master. Gauri, the great scholar who had been one of the first to proclaim Sri Ramakrishna an incarnation of God, paid the master a visit in 1870 and with his blessings renounced the world. Narayan Shastri, another great pundit who had mastered the 6 systems of Hindu philosophy and had been offered a lucrative post by Maharaja of Jaipur, met the master and recognized him as the one who had realized in life the ideals which he himself had encountered merely in books. Sri Ramakrishna initiated Narayan Shastri, at his earnest request, into the life of sannyas. Pundit Padmolakhan, the court pundit of the Maharaja of Burdwan, well known for his scholarship both in the Vedanta and Nyaya systems of philosophy, accepted the master as an incarnation of God. Krishna Kishore, a Vedantist scholar, became devoted to the master, and there arrived Viswanath Upadhyaya, who was to become a favorite devotee. Sri Ramakrishna addressed him as Captain. He was a high officer of the King of Nepal and had received the title of Colonel in recognition of his merit. A scholar of the Gita, the Bhagavata, and Vedanta philosophy, he daily performed the worship of his chosen deity with great devotion. "I have read the Vedas and the other scriptures," he said. "I have also met a good many monks and devotees in different places, but it is in Sri Ramakrishna's presence that my spiritual yearning has been fulfilled. To me, he seems to be the embodiment of the truths of the scriptures." The knowledge of Brahman in Nirvikalpa Samadhi had convinced Sri Ramakrishna that the gods of the different religions are but so many manifestations of the Absolute on the relative plane, and that the ultimate reality could never be expressed by human tongue. He understood that all religions lead their devotees by differing paths to one and the same goal. Now he became eager to explore some of the alien religions, for with him, understanding meant actual experience. Islam. Toward the end of 1866, the master began to practice the disciplines of Islam. Under the direction of his Mussulman guru, he abandoned himself to his new sadhana. He dressed as a Mussulman and repeated the name of Allah. His prayers took the form of the Islamic devotions. He forgot the Hindu gods and goddesses, even Kali, and gave up visiting the temples. He took up his residence outside the temple precincts. After 3 days, he saw the vision of a radiant figure, perhaps Mohammed. This figure gently approached him and finally lost himself in Sri Ramakrishna. Thus, he realized the Mussulman God. Thence he passed into communion with Brahman. The mighty river of Islam also led him back to the ocean of the Absolute. Christianity. 8 years later, sometime in November 1874, Sri Ramakrishna was seized with an irresistible desire to learn the truth of the Christian religion. He began to listen to readings from the Bible by Samdhu Charan Malik, a gentleman of Calcutta and devotee of the Master. Sri Ramakrishna became fascinated by the life and teachings of Jesus. One day, he was seated in the parlor of Jaddu Malik's garden house. This expression is used throughout to translate the Bengali word denoting a rich man's country home set in a garden. Sri Ramakrishna was in Jaddu Malik's garden house at Dakshineswar when his eyes became fixed on a painting of the Madonna and Child. Intently watching it, he became gradually overwhelmed with divine emotion. The figures in the picture took on life, and the rays of light emanating from them entered his soul. The effect of this experience was stronger than that of the vision of Mohammed. In dismay, he cried out, "O Mother, what are you doing to me?" And breaking through the barriers of creed and religion, he entered a new realm of ecstasy. Christ possessed his soul. For 3 days, he did not set foot in the Kali temple. On the 4th day, in the afternoon, as he was walking in the Panchavati, he saw coming toward him a person with beautiful large eyes, serene countenance, and fair skin. As the two faced each other, a voice rang out in the depths of Sri Ramakrishna's soul. "Behold the Christ, who shed his heart's blood for the redemption of the world, who suffered a sea of anguish for love of men. It is he, the Master Yogi, who is in eternal union with God. It is Jesus, love incarnate." the Son of Man embraced the Son of the Divine Mother and merged in him. Sri Ramakrishna realized his identity with Christ, as he had already realized his identity with Kali, Rama, Hanuman, Radha, Krishna, Brahman, and Mohammed. The Master went into Samadhi and communed with the Brahman with attributes. Thus he experienced the truth that Christianity, too, was a path leading to God consciousness. Till the last moment of his life, he believed that Christ was an incarnation of God. But Christ, for him, was not the only incarnation. There were others, Buddha, for instance, and Krishna. Attitude toward different religions. Sri Ramakrishna accepted the divinity of Buddha and used to point out the similarity of his teachings to those of the Upanishads. He also showed great respect for the Tirthankaras who founded Jainism and for the 10 gurus of Sikhism. But he did not speak of them as divine incarnations. He was heard to say that the gurus of Sikhism were the reincarnations of King Janaka of ancient India. He kept in his room at Dakshinaswar a small statue of Tirthakara Mahavira and a picture of Christ, before which incense was burnt morning and evening. Without being formally initiated into their doctrines, Sri Ramakrishna thus realized the ideals of religions other than Hinduism. He did not need to follow any doctrine. All barriers were removed by his overwhelming love of God, so he became an adept who could speak with authority regarding the ideas and ideals of the various religions of the world. I have practiced, he said, all religions, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, and I have followed the paths of the different Hindu sects. I have found that it is the same God toward whom all are directing their steps, though along different paths. You must try all beliefs and traverse all the different ways once. Wherever I look, I see men quarreling in the name of religion, Hindus, Mohammedans, Brahmos, Vaishnavas, and the rest. But they never reflect that he who is called Krishna is also called Shiva and bears the name of the primal energy, Jesus and Allah as well, the same Rama with 1,000 names. A lake has several ghats. At one, the Hindus take water in pitchers and call it jal. At another, the Muslims take water in leather bags and call it pani. At a third, the Christians call it water. Can we imagine that it is not jal, but only pani or water? How ridiculous! The substance is one under different names, and everyone is seeking the same substance. Only climate, temperament, and name create differences. Let each man follow his own path. If he sincerely and ardently wishes to know God, peace be unto him, he will surely realize him. It is interesting to note that when Sri Ramakrishna meditated on the way of Christianity and of Islam, he completely gave up the Hindu religious observances, such as his daily visits to the temples, repetition of the names of the Hindu deities, and other acts of devotion. He even removed from his room the pictures of the Hindu gods and goddesses. He thus demonstrated that a pious Muslim or Christian, by loyalty to his own spiritual disciplines, can attain God consciousness. In 1867, Sri Ramakrishna returned to Kamarpukur to recuperate from the effect of his austerities. The peaceful countryside, the simple and artless companions of his boyhood, and the pure air did him much good. The villagers were happy to have their playful, witty, kind-hearted, and truthful Gandhadhar back again, though they did not fail to notice the great change that had come over him during his years in Calcutta. His wife, Sarada Devi, now 14 years old, soon arrived at Kamarpukur. Her spiritual development was much beyond her age, and she was able to understand immediately her husband's state of mind. She became eager to learn from him about God and to live with him as his attendant. The master accepted her cheerfully, both as his disciple and as his spiritual companion. Referring to the experiences of these few days, she once said, "I felt always as if a pitcher full of bliss were placed in my heart. The joy was indescribable." End of today's reading.